The last Exodus commander, Alina Vasquez, stood at the observation deck of the massive evacuation vessel New Horizon, watching Earth shrink in the distance. The blue marble that had been humanity's home for millions of years was now a dying world. Its once vibrant oceans turned murky brown, and its countenance covered in toxic clouds. Her hand pressed against the reinforced glass as tears streamed down her weathered face. Behind her, the ship's corridors echoed with the sounds of humanity's final chapter on Earth. Families clutched their meager possessions while children asked questions their parents couldn't answer. The year was 2157, and after decades of environmental collapse, humanity was abandoning the only world they had ever known. Alina had been a military officer for 30 years, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. She was not just a commander today, but a shepherd leading her flock into the unknown darkness of space. The weight of responsibility pressed down on her shoulders like a physical force. "Commander, we're receiving another transmission from the Cathara vessel," announced Lieutenant David Park, her communications officer. The young man's voice carried the same hollow tone that had infected everyone since the evacuation began. Alina nodded without turning around. She had been expecting this call. The main screen flickered to life, displaying the elegant form of a Cathara representative. The alien stood nearly 8 feet tall, with pale silver skin that seemed to shimmer in the light. Its 3 eyes arranged in a triangle formation regarded Alina with what appeared to be compassion, though she had learned not to trust alien expressions. Commander Vasquez, the Cathara, spoke in perfect English, its voice carrying harmonious undertones that made it sound almost musical. "I am Coordinator Velthara. We understand this departure is difficult for your species. Please know that the Cathara Collective will ensure Earth's preservation for future generations." Alina finally turned to face the screen. Her dark eyes, hardened by years of military service, studied the alien with barely concealed suspicion. "What exactly do you mean by preservation, Coordinator?" "We will protect Earth from further damage," Velthara replied smoothly. "Your species has struggled with environmental stewardship. We have the technology to heal your world, but it requires time and isolation. No human presence can remain during the restoration process." The words sounded noble, but Alina felt a chill run down her spine. Something about the alien's tone suggested more than simple environmental protection. "And how long will this restoration take?" "Several of your centuries, perhaps longer. The damage is extensive." Velthara's 3 eyes seemed to focus more intently on Alina. "We regret that your generation will not see Earth reborn, but future humans will thank us for this sacrifice." Elena's daughter Maya approached from behind, her footsteps barely audible. On the metal deck, at 25, Maya had inherited her mother's sharp intellect and her father's talent for technology. She carried a small device in her hands, its screen displaying data that made her frown deeply. "Mum, you need to see this," Maya whispered urgently, staying out of the alien's view. Alina glanced at her daughter, then back at the screen. "Coordinator, we appreciate your ... assistance. We'll be in touch once our fleet is safely away from the system." "Of course, Commander. Safe travels." The transmission ended, leaving Alina alone with her daughter and the bridge crew. Maya immediately stepped forward, her device extended toward her mother. "I've been monitoring the Cathara ships since they arrived. Their energy signatures don't match anything in our databases for environmental restoration technology." Alina studied the readings on Maya's scanner. The data showed complex patterns that seemed more suited to terraforming than healing. What are you suggesting? I think they're not here to fix Earth, Maya said, her voice dropping to a whisper. I think they're here to remake it. For themselves. The implications hit Alina like a physical blow. She had always sensed something wrong about the Cathora's sudden appearance just when Earth's environmental crisis reached its peak. They had arrived with perfect timing, offering solutions that seemed too good to be true. Dr. James Chen, the ship's senior scientist, joined their conversation. The elderly man had spent decades studying alien technology and had developed a healthy skepticism about extraterrestrial motives. Commander, I've been analyzing atmospheric samples from the past 50 years. The chemical composition of our pollution doesn't match known industrial outputs. Elena's blood went cold. What do you mean, Doctor? The toxins killing our planet aren't entirely from human activity. There are trace elements that don't occur naturally on Earth and aren't byproducts of our technology. Someone has been introducing foreign substances into our atmosphere for decades. Maya's device beeped softly, displaying new data. The Cathara ships are releasing something into Earth's atmosphere right now. It's happening while we're still in the system. Alina felt her world shift. The environmental crisis that had forced humanity to abandon Earth wasn't entirely natural. The Cathara hadn't arrived to save Earth from humans. They had arrived to save Earth from evidence of their own involvement in its destruction. How long have they been doing this? Alina asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Dr. Chen consulted his notes. Based on the atmospheric data, I'd estimate they've been slowly poisoning our world for at least a century. They made it look like human-caused pollution, but they were terraforming Earth to their specifications the entire time. The realization struck Alina with stunning clarity. The Cathara had orchestrated humanity's exile from Earth by slowly making the planet uninhabitable, then arriving as saviors to offer protection. They had played the long game, spending generations preparing Earth for their own colonization. Alina walked to the ship's communication console and opened a channel to the entire human fleet. Her voice carried across hundreds of ships, reaching millions of refugees who had lost everything. People of Earth, this is Commander Vasquez. I need you to hear something important. She quickly explained Dr. Chan's discovery and Maya's data. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Angry voices filled the communication channels as humans realized they had been manipulated and betrayed. What do we do now? Asked Captain Torres, commander of the agricultural transport Harvest Moon. We don't have the military strength to fight them. Alina looked out at the stars surrounding their fleet. Humanity was scattered, homeless, and betrayed. But they were also survivors. We learn, we grow, we adapt, and someday we come back. She turned to address her bridge crew. Dr. Chen, I want you to document everything, every piece of evidence, every data point, every suspicion. Maya, keep monitoring their activities. We need to understand their technology and their weaknesses. Lieutenant Park raised his hand hesitantly. Commander, what if other species have gone through this same experience? What if humanity isn't the first to be driven from their homeworld? Alina nodded slowly. The young officer had raised an excellent point. Then we find them, we learn from them, and we build something the Cathara never expected. As the human fleet moved away from Earth, Alina made a promise that would echo through the generations. She recorded a message that would be preserved on every human ship and settlement. Today we leave Earth, but we do not leave our dreams behind. The Cathara believe they have one. They believe humans will fade into obscurity among the stars. They are wrong. We will remember. We will grow stronger, and our children's children will return to reclaim what was stolen from us. The message was transmitted to every ship in the fleet, and copies were stored in protected archives. It became humanity's founding document for their life among the stars, a reminder of their true home and their ultimate destiny. Elena's daughter Maya stood beside her mother as Earth disappeared from view. Do you really think we'll ever go back? Elena placed her hand on Maya's shoulder. Humans are stubborn, daughter. We don't forget, we don't forgive, and we definitely don't give up. The Cathara have made one critical mistake. What's that? They underestimated us. They think we're weak because we couldn't save our planet. But they don't understand that losing everything is what makes humans dangerous. We have nothing left to lose and everything to gain. The human fleet disappeared into the darkness between stars, carrying with them the seeds of a resistance that would grow for thousands of years. Earth was lost, but humanity's story was just beginning. Asterisk seeds of rebellion. Captain Rex Morrison stood in the cramped command center of the mining station Defiant Hope, staring at holographic displays that showed the locations of scattered human settlements across the galaxy. 800 years had passed since the Great Exodus, and humanity had spread across dozens of star systems, struggling to survive on hostile worlds that challenged every aspect of human biology. Rex was a descendant of the original evacuation fleet, born on the harsh moon of Kepler-4, for to see where humans had learned to live in underground cities. His ancestors had been farmers on Earth, but 8 centuries of exile had turned their bloodline into miners, engineers, and warriors. The soft life of Earth was now just a story told to children, replaced by the hard reality of survival among the stars. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the Arcturus colony, reported Sergeant Lisa Cross, her voice carrying the distinctive accent of humans who had grown up in low-gravity environments. They're requesting immediate assistance. Another Cathara patrol has discovered their location. Rex clenched his fists. The Cathara had been systematically hunting down human settlements for centuries, claiming they were protecting other species from dangerous human expansion. But Rex knew the truth. The aliens were eliminating witnesses to their crimes, ensuring that no one could challenge their version of history. How many ships do they have? Rex asked. 3 cruisers, same as last time. The colonists are evacuating to the secondary site, but they won't make it without help. Rex studied the tactical display. Defiant Hope was a converted mining platform, armed with salvaged weapons and crewed by volunteers from a dozen different human colonies. They weren't a military vessel in any traditional sense, but they were all humanity had for protection. Plot a course for Arcturus. Emergency jump. Full speed. Rex turned to his crew. People were going to war. The journey to Arcturus took 18 hours through hyperspace. Rex used the time to review intelligence reports from other human settlements. The data painted a disturbing picture. The Cathara weren't just hunting humans. They were systematically eliminating any species that might challenge their version of galactic history. Dr. Sarah Kim, the station's xenobiologist, approached Rex with a tablet full of data. She was a thin woman with prematurely grey hair, aged by years of studying alien biology in harsh conditions. Captain, I've been analyzing the reports from our contact network. We're not the only ones being hunted. Rex looked up from his tactical planning. What do you mean? I've found references to at least 12 other species that have been driven from their homeworlds in the past 2,000 years. The Cathara always used the same pattern: environmental catastrophe, offer of assistance, forced evacuation, then systematic elimination of the displaced population. The implications made Rex's blood run cold. Humanity wasn't unique in their suffering. The Cathara were conducting a galaxy-wide campaign of conquest, using deception and manipulation instead of open warfare. Do any of these other species still exist? Rex asked. Dr. Kim nodded excitedly. That's the interesting part. We've detected settlements of at least 3 different species in the Outer Rim territories. They're hiding just like we are, trying to survive while the Cathara hunt them. Rex felt a spark of hope for the first time in years. Can we contact them? I think so. I've been working on translation protocols based on their communication patterns. If we can reach them, we might be able to coordinate our efforts. The ship's navigation officer, Lieutenant Jake Torres, announced their arrival at Arcturus. The system was in chaos, with human evacuation ships fleeing from 3 Cathara cruisers. The alien vessels were sleek and deadly, their silver hulls gleaming as they pursued the desperate refugees. All stations, battle ready, Rex commanded. We're going to give those colonists time to escape. Defiant Hope might have been a converted mining platform, but 8 centuries of human ingenuity had turned it into something formidable. The ship's mining lasers had been modified into weapons, its cargo bays converted into fighter launch bays, and its industrial shields reinforced for combat. The battle was brief but intense. The Cathara had superior technology, but they weren't prepared for human tactics. Rex used the asteroid belt around Arcturus as cover, launching surprise attacks. From behind rocks and debris, his crew fought with the desperation of people who had nothing left to lose. Direct hit on the lead cruiser, shouted Weapons Officer Maria Santos. Their shields are down. Rex pressed the attack, coordinating with the evacuation ships to create a crossfire that confused the Cathara formation. The aliens were skilled pilots, but they had grown complacent after centuries of hunting helpless refugees. The battle ended when the damaged Cathara cruiser exploded, its destruction causing the other 2 vessels to retreat. The human colonists escaped to safety, but Rex knew this was just a temporary victory. Captain, we're receiving a transmission, reported Sergeant Krauss. It's not from any human source. The main screen flickered to life, displaying a creature unlike anything Rex had ever seen. It stood on 6 legs, with a chitinous exoskeleton that gleamed like polished metal. Its head was dominated by compound eyes that seemed to reflect multiple images. Despite its alien appearance, there was something unmistakably intelligent about its bearing. Human vessel, the creature spoke in heavily accented English. We witnessed your battle. We are ... impressed. I am Hive Queen Zarthik of the Zephyrian Collective. We have been watching your species for some time. Rex exchanged glances with his crew. This was their first contact with a non-human species other than the Cathara. I'm Captain Rex Morrison. Are you friend or foe? We are survivors, like you. The Cathara drove us from our homeworld 600 years ago. We have been waiting for allies who could match their cruelty with courage. Zarthik's multiple eyes focused on Rex. Perhaps humans are those allies. Over the following months, Rex established communication with not just the Zephyrians, but also the crystalline Vorthok and the energy-based Luminari. Each species had suffered the same fate as humanity: forced evacuation, systematic hunting, and near extinction at the hands of the Cathara. The alliance that formed was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. The Zephyrians provided biotechnology that could adapt to any environment. The Vorthok shared crystal-based computing systems that were immune to Cathara electronic warfare. The Luminari offered energy manipulation techniques that could power weapons of incredible potency. But it was humanity that provided the most crucial element, the ability to adapt and evolve. 8 centuries of survival on hostile worlds had changed humans in ways that even they didn't fully understand. Some colonies had developed enhanced strength to survive high-gravity worlds. Others had adapted to breathe thin atmospheres or resist radiation. Children were being born with abilities that would have been impossible on Earth. Rex established the first joint training facility on a hidden moon in the Vega system. Human, Zephyrian, Vorthok, and Luminari worked together to develop new technologies and tactics. The mining station, Defiant Hope, became the flagship of what they called the Stellar Liberation Coalition. The Cathara have made one critical mistake, Rex told his assembled allies during their first joint council meeting. They've given us time to adapt. 800 years of exile has made us stronger, not weaker. Hive Queen Zarthik clicked. Her mandibles, in what Rex had learned, was a gesture of agreement. The Cathara believe that displacement leads to extinction. They do not understand that some species grow stronger when challenged. The Coalition's first major operation was a rescue mission to save a human colony on the planet Kepler 438b. The settlement had been discovered by a Cathara patrol, but instead of evacuating, the colonists had chosen to fight. Rex led a joint task force of human and alien ships to their aid. The battle was a revelation. Zephyrian bioships merged with human fighters to create hybrid vessels that could outmaneuver anything the Cathara had. Vorthok crystal arrays provided targeting data that allowed human gunners to hit targets at impossible ranges. Luminari energy beings possessed Cathara systems and turned their own weapons against them. But it was the human colonists themselves who provided the biggest surprise. 8 centuries of adaptation had created humans who could survive in conditions that would kill their Earth-born ancestors. They fought with energy weapons in toxic atmospheres, coordinated attacks while breathing methane, and used their enhanced senses to track enemies in complete darkness. "This is impossible," transmitted the Cathara fleet commander as his ships were systematically destroyed. "Humans are weak. They cannot survive without their birth world." Rex smiled grimly as he watched the alien fleet retreat. "That's where you're wrong. Losing Earth didn't make us weak. It made us something you never expected." The victory at Kepler 438b marked the beginning of a new era. News of the successful defense spread through the hidden networks of displaced species. More allies joined the coalition. Technology was shared freely among all members. Training facilities were established on dozens of worlds. But perhaps most importantly, the coalition began to plan for the future. They weren't just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting for justice. The Cathara had committed crimes against dozens of species, destroying worlds and murdering billions of innocent beings. Rex stood in the command center of the new coalition headquarters, watching displays that showed the growing strength of their alliance. Human settlements that had once cowered in fear now trained alongside alien warriors. Ships that had once fled at the sight of Cathara patrols now hunted them through the darkness of space. Captain Dr. Kim approached with her latest research. "I've been analyzing the data from our raids on Cathara facilities. I think I know why they've been so successful." Rex turned to face her. "What have you found?" "They're not just conquering worlds randomly. They're specifically targeting species that show potential for rapid adaptation. Humans, Zephyrians, Vorthok, Luminari, we all have one thing in common. We evolve quickly when challenged. The implications were staggering. The Cathara weren't just expanding their territory. They were eliminating potential threats to their dominance. They had identified species that could potentially surpass them given enough time, and had systematically eliminated them. But they made one mistake, Rex realized. They gave us time to find each other. Dr. Kim nodded. And now we're stronger together than any of us could have been alone. Rex looked out at the stars, thinking of Earth and all the other worlds that had been stolen by the Cathara. The coalition was growing stronger every day, but they still had a long way to go before they could challenge the aliens' galactic dominance. Pass the word to all coalition forces, Rex ordered. We're not hiding anymore. We're not running anymore. From this day forward, we're taking the fight to them. The message was transmitted across the galaxy, reaching every human settlement and every allied species. The age of exile was ending. The age of resistance had begun. **